Holy season pass holders, we are live. Welcome to the Chain Dogs podcast, where we talk about everything theme parks, amusement parks, and roller coasters from all over the world. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you're all well. How are we doing? We all good?
Good.
Yeah.
We are
Yes.
good. It's good to be back.
James
On
can't
the
make it
pod.
this week. He's feeling very under the weather, so it's just us three. So we'll try. What are you laughing for?
I'm trying to behave.
Yeah, for James' sake, can we behave?
Show
No, it's all
some
good.
decorum.
Yes. Hope everyone is good. Thank you so much for joining us. We have we've got Bart in the chat, we've got Ginger One, we've got Ben, we've got Iona, we've got Joe's in the chat, we've got Kira. How are we all doing? So yeah, it's been a slow week.
Yeah.
It has been a pretty slow week.
Mhm.
And then we had some really good really good. We had a very interesting article come out, didn't we?
Yeah.
Loved
Very.
it.
Like a
what we
paint.
think? Lick a paint.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's cool to see a different perspective, isn't it? For anyone that doesn't know what we're talking about Amanda Thompson did a podcast. I can't remember who with. But
Weren't us, was it?
no,
Oh, no,
Amanda.
no.
No.
Imagine.
The podcast is called How to Theme Park, but it's for Soul Park.
Oh.
So yeah, and so the actual news story come out on Loopings. Very interesting. And it's just from Amanda Thompson's perspective.
Yeah.
Kind of just having a bit of a moan about season pass holders. I feel like she's using season pass holders as a kind of a thing just to describe enthusiasts in general, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
fans,
think,
fans and season pass
just
holders.
like super
Yeah.
fans who are like super critical of the park, things like that. And I can kind of understand it to a little degree. Like I've always said, if you go to a place every single week, you'll start seeing like if you went to I've always said that. I've always said if you go to Fantasia every week, you will start seeing
You'll find some
the graffiti. You'll start picking up on things.
Yeah.
But it's also just a little bit weird, and it like you didn't have to go out and say it to everyone. Especially with like the year Pleasure Beach has had in terms of not much investment to be shown. The park looking pretty scarce not most of the time, but days where it should be looking pretty busy.
Yeah.
It's just not had the most positivity. Like, nobody's running and raving about Pleasure Beach this year, are they? It's just Pleasure Beach. It's not, Pleasure Beach is on this. No, it's just
It's all been Valhalla, hasn't it? Like that's it.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. Like you're saying that's it. Like for me, Valhalla is like a big part of Pleasure Beach. So
yeah, for sure. But there's not. What I mean is like there's not been anything else to mention about Pleasure Beach.
Yeah,
being that has taken all the attention.
Well, just to be fair, Valhalla and the big job they've done on Big Dipper as well.
Oh yeah.
It's not a small job.
No, of course not. It costs a lot of money.
That has had a bloody big lick of paint. That has.
Yeah.
So, but I just think it's aimed. It's worded wrongly. Taking aim at your super fans that actually probably spend a lot. I mean, they spent a lot of money in retail this year on their like that new shop and everything. They're always bringing out all these new lines. Like, who is it who's buying all this stuff? Like, I'll tell you what, your average family is not like buying that. Do you know what I mean?
No,
they're not buying that. They're not buying that.
All right, put the track away. Come on, told you about this.
But they're not though, are they? Like all these like
really
cool things they're bringing out. Like we've got so much Blackpool stuff.
Yeah,
and when you're spending like over £200 on a season pass, plus like say if you go there and you're gonna have a drink, food.
Mate, the amount of money they've made off me and beer alone the last year, like
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's just a big misstep for me just to start.
Yeah.
and I don't know if that, you know what I mean. Like I don't think Hot Ice is bringing that much money in to justify.
It's not on Hot Eye. Christ.
Like
No.
if you're saying you
If you
can't,
had a different show, and you know I don't. It needs to be a different show. I think it's been running for so long. And it was going when I was a kid. It's been going for ages.
well, it's
that
always
show.
been like Amanda's thing, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
But
I can understand like being protective over it and wanting to keep it going and stuff. But like if you're saying you haven't got the funds to like
spruce up an area,
spruce up the area, then there's something wrong there. I just think you're showing. I don't know. Like it was a weird thing to say. Like we can't afford that, but we can. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would just love to know the numbers of Hot Ice. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure.
You mean you don't have a Hot Ice season pass?
No, I don't. No.
Oh, call yourself a crazy.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So let's see. So what's Kira saying? The woman has an aneurysm when someone mentions Meghan Markle. She's hardly the paragon of rationality. Not my words. That was Kira's words. Just looking for the comments.
Good job of Grease the Ice Ring.
I get the feeling that she's more devoted to the show than the park as a whole.
She likes the hotels, though, doesn't she? She says that the hotels of that hotel Boulevard.
Yeah, she gets all the top guests staying at that hotel.
Because just one thing we need at Pleasure Beach is more accommodation.
At Blackpool, yeah.
In the entire of Blackpool,
enough.
what we
It's not
need
enough.
is more accommodation in Blackpool.
Take customers away from our residents and who are trying to earn a living.
I mean, especially for that one time a year when Blackpool opens before weeks before every other park. Oh, hold on. I don't know. Weird one. I mean, at least it is opening a little bit earlier. Is it confirmed that it's opening a little bit earlier? Is it next year? Isn't it?
I don't know, to be honest. I just remember looking at the calendar a while back, and it was just what was highlighted. It was the first weekend of March, so it's not the usual early February. However, it's not the same week as everywhere else now. So maybe they've looked at last year and gone, we've lost the hype of being that park now that opens, and everyone makes like the pilgrimage, so to speak. And they're like, okay, we don't want to open in February because, the weather's a bit shit. The numbers aren't great unless you're a pass holder.
Yeah.
So we will open before everybody else by a week. Do you know what I mean? And just kind of.
To be fair, they're considering they really want the tourism and stuff. Like Weatherspoons don't want us. Pleasure Beach don't want us.
Mate.
Like,
I know,
what's going on? What's the point?
I mean,
are we going there?
Started on Weatherspoons.
Let's go sea life.
God.
let's take over the Merlin attractions.
Yeah.
There are 2 swords.
It's like, you know what? We don't want your money. Go away.
We're just animals. That's why they're like, oh, Weatherspoons, we can't have you guys in here because you're bloody animals. You're gonna riot, aren't you?
We're the most brutal.
I remember saying that to the guy once. I was like, I'm not being funny, but we're hardly like on a stag do. We're bloody theme park enthusiasts. What do you think we're gonna do?
Yeah.
We're just sitting there arguing like what's better, like Icon and fucking Helix, like SARS. Oh god, it's so weird.
Them 2 swords would be a fun day out. Yeah, it would. Imagine getting absolutely steaming and then walking around that place. Nearly in Weatherspoons.
Bunch of thieves all invading the curry set. Oh, it cares.
Yeah, we'll go drinking the Rovers.
Drink 2 swords. Do that. It'd be great.
But of course, it is closing weekend.
Yeah,
which is seems to be bigger than opening weekend now.
Yeah, because it's opening weekend's not really been a thing.
Open, close.
No.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, opening this year was pretty. It was disappointing for Blackpool, wasn't it? Because obviously it opened the same weekend as everywhere else.
Everyone went to Curse Open, didn't it? So
everyone. It seemed like everyone split. Like some people spent half the weekend in Blackpool, then went to Towers, and then all people did the other way around. Like we did the other way around. So it was just there ended up being people there, but just on different days, and it was all just a bit weird. Hello, Hiker, how you doing? Nice to see you there. Long time no see. Hope you're doing well. But But yeah, so it's. I mean, I guess closing's good really because it just doesn't really clash with anything else now, and everyone gets together. So yeah,
it'd be nice to see lots of people. I'm excited.
Can't wait! I can't wait to do an episode of all the shenanigans, all the rumors that flew around over the weekend.
Ooh, the rumors! Don't get me going.
I won't be there, unfortunately, but
we'll fill you in. Don't worry.
We're going to be there for like half of the weekend. So, I'm
sure Twitter will tell me what's going on.
I'm sure they will. There we go. So, I thought we'd quickly just because it's slow news day. I was hoping to wait till McCall to come back to go through this news, but I think we should just talk about it briefly. So obviously we know that Six Flags and Cedar Fair have merged.
Yeah.
Which is a big deal. And we've not really covered it at all. So
no, we were trying to hold off, weren't we? But it is big, isn't it?
Well, to be fair, we was holding off for slow news week, and that is this week.
Yeah. There'll be many more of these to come.
Yeah.
So get suggestions for topics in the comments. Let us know what you want us to talk about.
Could even send us an email.
Okay, you could
an email. But no, so there's the combined company would be worth it will be worth about $8 billion. Wow, which is that's including the debt. So you know it's a significant thing. How many parks is that? The combined company will operate 27 amusement parks, 15 water parks, and 9 resort properties across 17 states in the United States, Canada, and Mexico.
Wow.
So yeah, what do we think about this?
It's just mad to think about all the different coasters and attractions that, let alone the logistical side of things of like the hotels, you know, all that kind of stuff. But just imagine all them rides being in your inventory as one company. It's mental. That is mental. Yeah. There's going to be some weird restructuring going on. And it's going to be crazy. But, you know, Top Thrill 2, all that kind of stuff going on at Cedar Point. Obviously, I don't know if that was set aside before this happened. In the background, it might have already happened, you know, people coming in and doing different things and stuff. But it seems like it's going to be good for some of the smaller Six Flags parks and stuff that haven't had much proper investment. You know, they've had like a SNS, you know, free spinner and stuff like that, but they've not had like a big major attraction for a long time.
So who hasn't had a big major attraction?
Just
those smaller parks.
Some of the smaller Six Flags parks and stuff. I mean, a lot of Six Flags parks have had attractions, don't get me wrong, but some of the smaller ones as well have just had like little lands put in, like DC lands and stuff like that. But you're talking about IPs later on, but that's a lot of IPs as well that that Six Flags has to utilize. With Cedar Fair, it's bonkers for me. It is crazy. I wonder if Epic Universe and Universal and, you know, and all this kind of stuff has kind of triggered this thing to happen a bit more as well, because that place is going to slap. You know, in the US, it's going to be probably the best park that's been built ever. I mean, that's the whole point of it, right? So they need to compete with that.
Depends what you're looking for, really.
It does, but it does kind of offer everything. From what I've seen so far, it offers pretty much everything.
Yeah, but when you say everything, I like Efteling. I like Fantasia. I like original.
All right, okay.
We're going to get into that. Whereas I'm not that bothered. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I think going to do like Nintendo's will be cool, but it's not like it just everyone has something different in it. So like for me, like I don't think like I think somebody like what I like about Islands of Adventure, for example, some of their original IPs. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, Dueling Dragons, to me, I would have loved to have done that because I just thought that was cool. I just thought it was a cool concepts, the whole story behind it, you know, all and it's even in like Halloween Horror Nights, their original IPs, I just find them way more interesting than some of like just the actual horror film IPs and stuff.
Well, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But but I think what's interesting is that Six Flags has a lot of IPs, mainly mainly superheroes.
Yeah, DC.
But like Cedar Fair don't really do that.
No.
So it's just interesting, like how separate are they going to, how are they going to merge that? Are they going to merge the companies together? Or is it going to be a true merger where they're going to try and get everything like really samey, or they're going to try and keep the identities? Because don't get me wrong, like there is after our last trip to America, we did like a Six Flag park and also 2 Cedar Fair parks in one trip. And you could tell there were some differences, but on the whole, not that, like, it didn't feel that like different. The parks didn't feel that different, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
No, they don't seem too dissimilar, but I would like them to kind of, that small bit of identity between the parks that they do have, I would like them to keep them, because otherwise that's a whole lot of parks that are kind of the same.
Yeah,
it's not particularly exciting. And you do get with some of the parks where you've got 50 fucking Batman clones going on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You don't want Batman the Ride in every single park that's got an invert. Do you know what I mean? You've got to have some differences, because otherwise, what's the draw to visiting other parks? Because if they're going to have the same similar rides with the same names, it's like, well, what's the point? You're not doing anything new or exciting, are you? You're just making everything exactly the same, which isn't exciting to people, especially enthusiasts, because they're just going to be like, well, it's all the same shit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because they're borderline there with that at the moment, aren't they, really? Like I say, with coasters of the same nature and names.
Yes.
So I would like to see them kind of keep that small, separate identity, but obviously invest in the money in bigger and better ways.
Yeah. Like operations and maintenance and like that kind of thing as well, because the budgets must they must have been at a point where certain parks are struggling, and they've obviously, this was a financial decision, so something must have drove that decision. Like, they must be struggling in some area, and this kind of helps get rid of that problem a little bit for some of the smaller parks, where they can rely on a bigger, wider budget from the bigger company. Who knows what parks are going to get? And I think it's just going to be one of them things that just happens, and then all of a sudden, boom attraction, boom attraction, boom attraction, boom attraction. It'll just kick off, I think.
Yeah, it's exciting. I think to be fair, when you look at it, it's exciting as a whole.
Yeah.
Part of it's like, what? Like, you want them to stay separate, but in the grand scheme of things, it is, it's big fucking news, especially from an enthusiast point of view.
It's the biggest. I reckon it's probably the biggest news that we've probably ever seen in any of our like enthusiast hobby type thing, like Six Flags and Cedar Fair merging. Like, it come out of nowhere as well, didn't it? It wasn't
that is a huge fucking deal, isn't it?
It literally did come out of nowhere, didn't it? It was just like, that's happening. Okay.
I think there was whispers for a while, but people were like, "No, they won't do that." And then it was like, "Oh, actually, shit, they are."
Well, I was thinking about that. I was like, I'm sure there's whispers, but then I was like, no, I think the whispers. What I was remembering was I think it was Cedar Fair or Six Flags looking to buy SeaWorld. I think there was going to be a merger with SeaWorld at one point.
Oh,
I don't remember, but yeah, I don't know. Like,
I don't remember Cedar Fair and Six Flags ever being in a conversation together with a merger.
Maybe it was.
It might have been.
It's just weird. But yeah, the one thing I hope is that, at the minute, you've got, in most states, you've got a Six Flags and a Cedar. Well, I say most states. I don't know if this, but like, just from searching places, there normally is like a Cedar Fair park close to a Six Flags. And when I say close, I mean America close, like 4 hours, at least 4 hours away. So I'm just like, but what is now driving them to compete with each other?
Yeah.
In terms of like pulling these new rides out,
there'll be an internal. There'll be an internal competition, 100%.
Yeah, but internal in terms of like that. But who's holding the purse strings? It's going to be the company as a whole, isn't it? Who's getting the big rides? Is there just going to be like one major coaster?
Yeah,
in a few states, like in a cluster of states every couple of years, rather than them competing with each other to get like who's going to get the bigger fiercest numbers, because it doesn't matter to them because they're all getting the same amount of money. So that's just one of my big worries.
Where they're actually going to put the funding that they'll have.
Yeah, Because like, think about fucking Cedar Point, man. Like,
yeah,
that's gonna draw so much money out of Cedar Fair. Like, it's fucking huge. It's like a huge place. It's an island. It's literally a massive island. And they have to keep investing in that place. And I'm sure a lot of that money, you know, after going to Carowinds seems to be just being forgotten. Like,
right.
I think, like, that's what it felt like to me. So I was like, well, the money from that, like, are they just drawing all the money from these smaller parks that invest into Cedar Point all the time? Because that's like the big destination to go.
Yeah.
That's like the jewel in their crown, isn't it? Really. Yeah. So you see a lot of companies. It's the same with Merlin with towers, really, isn't it? It's like
I'd argue as well.
Big thing.
It's probably the jewel in the crown from the merger as well. I think it's probably the strongest part that
100%,
they have out of all the Six Flags as well. Because Cedar Point, it's just one of the places, isn't it? It's iconic. It's so iconic. It's a bucket list park. It really is for everyone.
Yeah, that is like a big international draw.
Yeah.
Whereas Carowinds is not an international draw except for a handful of enthusiasts. I say a handful, but like enthusiasts as a whole or a handful of people. Like Carowinds felt like a very regional park, like somewhere you go, just like because you live close to it, sort of thing. Basically. But yeah, so that's that. I hope it does well, but I just think 27 parks is a lot.
Who's the head of the table for that? Jesus,
I couldn't be asked me. I'll be like,
no, that is effort, isn't it?
Literal effort.
That is proper effort.
But yeah, I think that probably puts them second to Disney now, doesn't it? In terms of like a company owning so many theme parks, because it was Merlin.
It was Merlin, yeah. It probably does put them above Merlin, yeah.
It probably puts them above Merlin now in terms of how many a singular company own. So
let's hope they make some money and build some crazy rides. That's invest into research as well. Next best thing, all that stuff.
Talking about that though, we never got anything from PortAventura. Any news from PortAventura?
No. What's going on?
So, because IAAPA happened last week, obviously a lot of people were thinking that something was going to be announced from. I just don't think anything's happening.
Is this all just been a joke? And they're laughing at us all, looking at us all online, and they're all like, enthusiast, going to enthusiast.
Yep. Pretty much.
It would be so funny though if we just literally fabricated it between ourselves. It's fucking never going to happen.
Universal owns PA. Imagine if it just happens now after we go offline.
It probably will. No, normally it's the day after. That's
literally the day after. Yeah, it's mad.
Yeah,
we'll have to start doing like little one to camera, like whenever a news breaks.
Breaking news!
Breaking news! Universal is taking over PA. I'm on my own, but it's happened.
So I'd let you know.
I wish we. Yeah, so that's it really in terms of the news. We do have some news from Thorpe Park with their project Sparkle. To be in touch about. Basically, they are going around the park and doing some like TLC.
Yeah,
can't really call it TLC, is it? Because that sounds like Towers Loving Care.
It was before Towers Loving Care, though. Let's be honest, TLC.
Yeah, TLC.
To be honest, like the name Sparkle, I'm like, is that all you could give us? You know, at least Towers tried. They were like TLC, Towers Loving Sparkle. It's going to be clean, so it's a sparkle.
Yeah,
you know.
But the crew.
Less sparkle, more debacle. That's what it's going to be.
This was, I think, yesterday. This was shared on the pass holders, the Facebook pass holders group. So we've got paint on Colossus progressing well.
Needed it, didn't it? Let's be honest.
New screens are being installed in Saw, Stealth, and Nemesis Inferno. So that's a good You can see the difference in paint there. It's looking pretty
Why has
fresh.
that not been done sooner? Why was it allowed to get so bad? It's
But remember, we've got new people in charge now of the entire thing. So
yeah, it's true.
I think that's what we have to judge it by. Is like what's happening now. I do think we're starting to see like a new way of running parks.
It's easy wins though, man. Like if you look after your rides, they'll look after you. Like,
yeah,
it's literally the same
no,
thing,
it is, and
you
I
know?
think I do think the new management get this in terms like but there's a lot of work to do around
100%.
all the parks, and I don't think it's kind of like in the winter period at the minute it's okay, but when we're gonna start seeing ice and stuff, you're not painting in like you actually only have a limited time to like start doing all this stuff over the close season. So hopefully like now what they'll do is through each close season they focus on a different area and get everything up to scratch.
That'd be great. That would be really good, and it's nice to see that they're actually trying to implement these changes pretty quickly as well. They are, because when did the new head of Merlin like take over? I can't remember now. It wasn't wild. It wasn't.
It would have been. It was last year, wasn't it? No. Let me have a look.
It was. Yeah, it was. It wasn't that long ago, really.
15th of November. It's literally 15th of November.
Just over a year.
So just over a year.
Yeah.
So all the plans that they were making at the start of the year for this close season, they're all happening now. So what will be happening now in the background is they'll be planning for next year.
Yeah.
So let's just hope it stays around longer than TLC did, because
we got like a season of that and then it kind of flitted out, didn't it?
It's amazing to see. Like even
I love it.
Beach knew that people like to see what's going on behind the scenes,
especially from an enthusiast point of view as well. It's just something during close season that's like you just something nice to follow, isn't it? It's like,
and it's
something nice what they're doing. You want to see how they're doing it, and and then I think like, oh well, they freshened that up during the close season. I'm gonna go and have a look at it.
Yeah, you look forward to it, don't you? You look forward to seeing it, and that's the whole point, I think.
Yeah. So just going through RCT Limits said Karen's got or is getting a whole new area of loads of new flat rides. It's also going to be next to the new Six Flags company's headquarters. Yeah, Aeronautica's landing, I think you're on about there, unless there's a new area, I don't know. But yeah, that was open. That just opened this year because we saw that. It's pretty cool, to be honest. Just a few new flat rides and stuff.
Yeah.
Got a San Perla Nebula. Is it Nebula or Nebulous? My head's got
Nebulous.
Yeah. Nebulous.
Nebulous.
Yeah. You can tell they're trying to like invest into the park and stuff, but there's like a lot of tied areas around Karen's. I found anyway, or maybe I was just like really negative because Fury wasn't open. Could have been that as well.
Salty.
It would have an impact on the heart, that wouldn't it?
I think it would. It did definitely. But yeah, there we go. That's Thorpe Park Project Sparkle. Hopefully we see that across obviously all of the resorts. So yeah, there we have it. Here we go. Another sure if you listen to the Drunk Riders interview with Jeffrey Sibbert, he was talking about people liking to see what the construction is going on.
Yeah.
Nebulas are popping up like mushrooms. I think I reckon IAPA 2022 they must have San Perla must have made a killing on all these orders because they're everywhere now. Every theme park I think I've been to, most theme parks I've been to in the last year, there's been a new one there.
Yeah,
even Hershey Park had one. Loads have had them. Park Asterix just got one when I think Titatis opened, or like the year before that, because they staggered the opening of that land, I think. But yeah, absolutely everywhere. So yeah, let's get on to IPs then. So
do it.
IPs are taking over, right?
Yeah.
We're seeing it a lot more in places that don't normally have IPs as well. For example, I mean, I say that like I'm gonna use Jumanji as an example. I mean, we have seen IPs such as Gruffalo and Room and a Broom and stuff like that.
I love the Gruffalo.
Gruffalo is a nice little attraction. But yeah, we're starting to see it more and more, and I do think like IPs work to a certain to a certain point, but for example, we always use this example, but could I see an IP fitting into Efteling, for example, from Tarzan? I could probably see it working, but I wouldn't want to see it.
No.
So I think it's a case by case basis, but you know, one of my worries I have really is that, you know, with Merlin, for example, with new management, could we start seeing more IPs coming in? You know, before this, like Thorpe Park started with a lot of IPs in a way.
Yeah.
You know, we've got Saw, we've got Black Mirror, we've got Walking Dead. I don't know what else I'm missing. But then we had like Fright Nights, for example. A lot of their mazes were Cabin in the Woods. Who is that?
Lionsgate, is it?
Lionsgate. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's always worth looking at in terms of, do we think that is going to be the future of theme parks? Because it clearly works. It clearly gets people into parks.
Yeah, and it's good to
100%.
see. It's good to see Sony wanting to work with Chessington World Adventures. That's mad. To bring Jumanji to that park.
Yeah,
shows you how well Merlin are selling to investors for these attractions as well, which is a really cool way of looking at things. Is that what's next? You know, like Hyperia being built. There's other stuff around the corner as well. That has to be. Everyone just seems to be spending money at the moment in the industry. It's crazy. If you look at IAPA, all the things that were coming out of there, it's insane what people are actually putting money into now into the parks. And all of a sudden, these budgets have been left open now for like Project Sparkle, for example, we just talked about. And it's great to see that they have that draw. And by adding an IP, it's basically using like the Epcot model, isn't it? you build an attraction, you stick an IP on it, people turn up because they like the IP, they enjoy the attraction, they enjoy the park, they get a season pass, and that's how it works. It's a vicious cycle of.
I think for me though, in terms of IPs, like don't get me wrong, unless it's like a movie-based park, it's obviously going to be full of IPs.
Yeah,
but I find like generally in parks, I like the odd IP. But I don't like parks to go down the route. Parks that aren't movie-based parks to just bang IPs in for the sake of it. I enjoy Saw the Ride more because it's a Saw IP, because I'm a huge fan of the franchise. Yeah. You know, but then obviously you had Darren Brown's Ghost Train. You know, you have it. And then I think if Thorpe had gone down the route with Hyperia as just slapped another IP on it, I think I'd have got to the point where I'd have gone, no. Right?
Yeah.
Not a movie-based park. So please just show some fucking creativity and come up with something in-house, because 90% of the time it can be well better than any film IP that you slap on it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and I'm so bloody glad that they've got rid of Angry Birds, because you know, they get these contracts with companies for these IPs, and sometimes the contracts are that long, for example, Angry Birds, that it's way outdated, and everyone's just like, what the fuck is this doing here? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're left with somewhere like Thorpe that's not really aimed at small kids, but they've just randomly got this Angry Birds land. You know?
Yeah.
So, like I said, I like it. I don't know, I'm slightly torn, but like I said, I like an IP. I just don't like a million IPs unless it's that kind of park, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like Pleasure Beach, you know, you've got Wallace and Gromit. It works, you know what I mean? You've got Nickelodeon Land and stuff like that. But then if they were like Icon and this season we're gonna slap a fucking, it's like when they slap Fanta on Oblivion, like it pissed me off. I'm like, sometimes what is the point? Do you know what I mean? It's like you wanted to make some money and it's clearly fucking.
There's always time for Fanta, Emin.
You are, but you are ruining the feel of a really good ride that's got a really good theme for the sake of making a few quid on an IP, which is it's not even slightly in fitting with the theme of the ride.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? It's like this really dark kind of ride. Fanta, why? It makes no sense, you know. So I don't know. I do enjoy it though when parks they come up with their own shit, and a lot of the time it works better. For them, I think.
So going to just what Ben said, Efteling is different. Efteling is built on the foundations of Anton Pieck's artwork and fairy tales. I don't think that's different to any other theme park, though. because Anton Pieck was actually like he was involved in the creation of the Fairy Tale Forest, like actively, like made things for him. Like he was a designer as well. Obviously, he was an artist, but he was actively involved in Efteling. They didn't just base it on his design, on his artwork.
It was actually a designer.
Yeah, you could say that about Phantasialand with Eric Daman, the designer, architecture. He obviously died I think it was last year, the year before. You know, he was heavily involved in Phantasialand and you know, Klugheim and Ruckberg. You know, and thankfully his design agency will be, or architectural agency will be involved with Phantasialand going forward. You know, you could we compare that to John Wardley with Alton Towers, like basing everything on his design. Like it's the same kind of thing. Like there's a lot for me with Alton Towers. There's a lore there. There's all these different intricate storylines that have been created since like the 80s that have carried on. And then you just go, and then, for example, I would be really upset if like Project Horizon was suddenly an IP. I'd rather have, I just think, for example, Alton Towers alone do their own story so well. Look at Hex, you know, based on a legend, but still their own story.
Smiler.
Smiler. And then you watch the fireworks and you're like, oh, all this like different lore and stuff comes up. So just going
Nemesis
to Ben's
had
thing,
a comic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
they
look
literally
at this.
Turn that into a movie. Like,
I mean, even Disney that is based on IPs, like they have their own like internal park IPs, which is the Adventurers Club. Do you know what I mean? That isn't even like a series in like a Disney films or anything, but all these like, you know, Haunted Mansion, Jungle, River Cruise, like they're all interlinked, and all the different like haunted mansions around the world, including Mystic Manor, is like linked all together. Like, you can, I'd say that it's all like, it's just saying like Efteling is different because it's on the foundations of Anton Pieck. I'd say that's true for a lot of different parks. I'd say what Efteling do good is that they stick by that. They've stuck by that since Anton Pieck died, and I hope I'm saying his name right. But like they've stuck on that. they've stuck by that for going on. So that's what they should do. The problem is when if you get a new company come and own it, or new people come in and just don't really understand that, then there is a, you know, it's like Phantasialand now, just sticking in a ride that's like Jumanji. Do you know what I mean? It'd be so fucking weird. Like, why would you do
that? I mean,
there we go.
Like you say about Towers, like every ride there is its own IP. If you think about it, it has its own. Every ride is a character at Towers. That's the way I see the rides at Towers. They're all characters. They all have backstories. They all have, like you say, lore behind them. But I think we go a bit too far with trying to link them all together sometimes. But it's fun to do that.
It's just being
and I think that's what's good about having internal IPs at a park. You can, as an enthusiast or someone who really likes the parks, think about the gaps in the imagination that they had when they were coming up with the ideas for the rides, and it makes you more invested. Like I've always thought Hex and 13, there's something going on there, like big time. So it just makes you think then, like, what would happen? What would it look like if it was entwined? You know? Yeah,
it's fun for enthusiasts and fans. Like you say, you've got things like the Smiler. Obviously, it's like an in-house theme. So look at the following that the Smiler has.
Yeah,
you know, and how bloody seriously some people take that ride, and they have their own costumes for it, and they have their own stories for it, and they have their own thoughts and opinions on it and stuff like that. Whereas if it was fucking, I don't know, Humpty Dumpty the ride, it's like, well, it's Humpty Dumpty the ride. There's not a lot more.
Yeah, and you know what happens in it. Yeah, it's like Saw as well. Saw, you know what happens in it, so there's no gaps to fill in. You know what happens during that movie and during that, you know, that time. But the problem is with IPs now, though, is a lot of IPs are remakes of IPs.
So it's like, which one do you choose? What storyline do you choose in a way? I do think in a way that's like with Mandrill Mayhem. I did like the fact that there's little hints to like the original Jumanji, for example, and then the newer one. Like there was hints to both, and I thought that was quite a nice touch. But I really think it just depends on the park. Like I think with Disney and Universal, you go into them expecting IPs. Do you know what I mean? Like you know,
You wanna see
Universal.
Hogwarts.
It's Universal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Universal Studios. It's like it was built as a movie park, and then it's kind of expanded. You know, Islands of Adventure wasn't meant to be a movie park, a studio park, but it's kind of expanded into that, but not your traditional studio park, which is backlots and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like more of like world building and things.
Yeah.
But
Epic Universe seems to be a nice mixed bag so far. You've got IPs based off areas in movies and based off characters in movies, well, not necessarily the full movie experience itself.
Yeah,
you've got Universal Monsters, you know, the Manor indoor attraction they're doing there as well. You've got Curse of the Werewolf, I think it is, which is the spinning mat coaster, which, you know, it's they are themed to them eras and them movies, but not a certain one, if you know what I mean. You know what I'm trying to say? There's gaps. There's gaps in imagination again to fill the gaps in. So I think that's what's going to be special about that park, is it's going to end up having its own lore and characters and things like that. I love an IP. Wallace and Gromit is one of my favorite dark rides. I think it's just class.
Such a Wallace and Gromit stan. Like I said though, when you say you like IPs because you love Wallace and Gromit, it's just a case of you can look at it from the other side and go, if you hate Wallace and Gromit, if it gets on your tits, are you going to hate Wallace and Gromit?
Scares you.
Do you know what I mean though? It's like
but
a film that you
the thing
despise or a program that you despise. Is that going to make you look negatively on the ride? That's potentially, if it had no IP, is a decent ride, but you know, because it's Wallace, he's just fucking shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So the ride gets a lot of shit. Do you know what I mean? For being a shitty ride, but it's got an incredible theme into it and an incredible IP, in my opinion, which takes it from an ride to a really good ride.
Wallace and Gromit is just very northern, isn't it? And so it fits in with the northern theme of Blackpool.
It's just Blackpool. Literally eating cheese.
Fits in very well there.
Cheese,
when I went downstairs for a drink, I was actually going to get a bag of grated cheese and just sit here.
I've got like 20 of these little cheeses from Aldi yesterday. Like, brilliant.
Imagine if Blackpool just opened like a Spider-Man ride. That would just be weird. It'd just be so odd. Like, what would be the
mint? Be amazing.
No, it'd be weird.
It'd be great just to see how fucked up it'd be.
Oh my god, Heike's just mentioned the chat are talking about their favorite IPs, and Heike has just mentioned Like Me Coaster at Plopsaland, banging IP and a banging queue line.
Yeah.
Bart mentioned Boss Van Plop, which is, do you remember, the world's slowest boat ride at Plopsaland? It's so slow it goes backwards. You ain't got a spare hour, mate. Honestly, it went backwards at one point.
But
it's weird.
Plopsaland's a good example because like people always use it, because when we talk about IPs, everyone goes, "Oh well, there's nothing wrong with Tomorrowland." Nothing wrong with Ride to Happiness, and that's Tomorrowland. But that doesn't feel like an IP to begin with because it's like it's very generic.
No.
It's like it's just about music.
It's like us having a download festival ride.
Yeah, it's just like
if you look to Ride to Happiness without knowing it was specifically Tomorrowland, you just think it had wicked theming.
Yeah,
it's not got like characters, so to speak, or anything that makes it obvious that it's of a Tomorrowland theme.
It's not. But what people don't realize, I think, who don't live in Belgium or nearby, is the fact that Plopsaland is a studio park. Like Plopsa is a studio. Like they have their own TV show. It's a TV channel. That it's like Nickelodeon. Like most rides in Plopsaland is their own IPs. So it is a studio park to a certain, like it basically is a studio park.
Wow.
I
actually didn't know that.
Do you not know that?
No,
I didn't know that until I went there, and I was just like, okay,
well,
Anubis is after a show, like Me
really?
Is. Yeah.
Wow.
House of Anubis. You never seen House of Anubis? It was on English TV when we were younger.
Was it?
Yeah.
What? I've never seen that.
I'm sure it was on. I'm sure I've seen House of Anubis. It was on it was either on CBBC or
2011.
Was it dubbed? Was it in English?
Hold on, have I made this up? I'm sure I have seen. If it's
not,
House
you're
of
right.
Anubis, it's something similar.
It fucking was. Yeah. I think it is.
Because I remember it was one of them kids programs that I would switch off because I didn't like it, but I definitely remember it being on.
Yeah, because the whole station is like that big mansion house thing.
Yeah.
But that's what Plopsa Land is or not. It's a studio park.
That's awesome.
So it's like going to Nicoland. It's a different place.
That's in a mall somewhere. Yeah, James has said House of Anubis was a UK on the UK TV.
I knew I hadn't made it up.
Yeah, it was. When I seen the picture of the cast, and I was like, yeah,
so it must have been based on the, unless they, because this is, I'm looking at this, and this is Nickelodeon House of Anubis. So they must have bought the rights to it, or vice versa. So I wonder.
Yeah, it's just cool for my phone as Nickelodeon. Maybe that is where I saw it as a kid, but I knew that I'd definitely see it here. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't solely kept to.
Do you guys think that sometimes having an IP or attraction takes it that step further with, investment? Like it gives it that extra edge. Like Mandrill Mayhem is a good ride on its own, but the fact that it's Jumanji, like, did Sony throw in money to Merlin to help do these extra little bits, these nods to the original and stuff like that. Like,
that is.
Do you think it helps boost an attraction, like, in terms of that?
In terms of what, money, like being
investment, and they're allowed to do certain things they wouldn't have been able to do if it wasn't the IP, if you know what I mean. Like, they get. I'd be
interested in that. I'm pretty sure it's on a case by case basis.
Yeah,
because I reckon, like, say if the only reason you would theme Oblivion to Fanta is because you're getting some kind of sponsorship, like that. There's money coming in there.
Yeah.
Whereas I think when it comes to, like, Jumanji, I think it'd be more like a park would have to pitch to get that IP, and it would be solely their money that they're spending on that, because and they would take that gamble because they know there's going to be a lot more footfall, and they'll probably get investment from other places in the terms of loans and things like that because of the strength of the IP. I don't think Sony. I don't know for sure, but I can't imagine, like, Sony and places like that are then actively paying for.
Yeah, just like, there's 5 million. Yeah, do what you want with it. Make it,
because then it's like in my head, I don't know this for sure, and I keep saying, like, it'd be different. Like, for example, on the Wizarding World, for example. We know that J.K. Rowling gets a portion of the profits of all merch sold there, so that would be probably very different.
Yeah.
Whereas I think with do we think that Sony are getting a cut from entry prices to Chessington? Probably not. Well, so why would they put money in there? Why would they put money into it though when they're not getting any money back?
That's a good point. As far as I'd like to know that,
But I do think, like I say, like, it probably just gives them a good case to apply for funding, whether that's through loans or grants or whatever it is. To be like, look, we've got this, like, Jumanji IP. Like, of course, it's going to be like an easier sell than trying to sell Wicker Man, which is about burning people in a big wicker statue, which is no IP whatsoever. Like, how which one's going to be easier to sell? So.
I'm sorry, the chat have got a great ride idea going on there, Chuckle Vision themed Intamin Blitz, and Ben's come up with that, and RCT Limits has put swing launch to me to you.
You have no idea how much I love Chuckle Vision as a kid.
Chuckle Vision,
I had the VHS like videos, and that was my shit when I was a kid. Honest to God. I think I have that program to thank for my ridiculous sense of humor, because it was funny as fuck. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm gonna have to go and watch them actually.
Swing launch for To Me to You.
Yeah. Oh dear. I wear slip-ons.
What the fuck? I didn't even know that reference. I wear slip-ons.
From the song they did, yeah. So shoes are wrong size. I don't wear shoes. Wear slip-ons.
Mate, honestly, when you watch it back now as an adult, you're like, this is fucking stupid.
I'm gonna
in
do
the best way.
No limits. I'm gonna do it. Chuckle Vision the ride.
Do it. Soundtrack. Vision. Vision.
So something, I mean, like, we're gonna get onto the topic, but, like, I just think for me, like, something I still don't think fits into Disney is Marvel. Probably get a lot of backlash on that from the people
I
who love
agree.
Marvel. I just don't think it
new,
does.
innit?
It doesn't.
It's new.
Disney's magical, and Marvel ain't magical to look at. Do you know what I mean?
It's too based in like real world. There's too much like. I mean, I guess I know there's a lot of Disney. I know there's a lot of death in like Disney films, but I feel like Marvel for me is too real world.
Natural disastery, isn't it? That's what the Avengers was basically to prevent.
It's not as whimsical, is it? And
no.
I think Star Wars fits in way more than Marvel
and Avatar because of Pandora.
Avatar. Yeah, it's all like it's all fantasy.
Yeah.
It's basically just back what studio, isn't it? Marvel. It's New York. That's what that's where it's all based. But then if you got like Wakanda and stuff like that, if you start looking at like
if you start looking at the
and things that, it would be a lot different. I get what you're saying, but Spider-Man is New York City, and Web Slingers is a fun ride. I do enjoy it. I know what you're saying, and Avengers Campus, to someone who's a fan of the films, which I am, and fan of the characters, I do enjoy I couldn't stay in that land forever. I could stay in there for a couple of hours at the most. And most of that is queuing. Some of the food stuff that comes out of it, like Pim Kitchen and stuff like that, I think that's quite inventive. They've put the Disney spin on that, obviously, with the food, because the chefs are amazing at Disney. And I think that you compare it to Batu. I could be in there all day. And I wouldn't get bored. I'd find something new to look at every second.
Do you know what? I've never been, so I can't, I've not seen it in real life. You know what my opinions on Disney are. Yeah. But to look at from pictures, videos, and vlogs that I've seen and stuff, to me, the area, just Avengers Campus, it comes across as too modern and too sleek and, to fit into Disney, because Disney's colourful. Disney is the word.
It's a place you go to. It's a place that you go to, like, forget your worries and stuff like that, and you go. But then, like, for me, I'm like Marvel. I'm like, it just looks like a college campus.
It looks depressing. It's too modern. It's too sleek. There's too many like straight lines. It's too. Do you know what I mean? It's too.
I think if they keep it to the way they're doing it, which is like, at the end of the day, the places they're putting him into is like California Adventure, which is like a really weird. It was always a weird park, and they've just started to make it like a little bit better. So it's nice to put it in there. Obviously, with Paris, it's in the what's the
Studios?
Studios, yeah. So they're putting it into places where like need something. So as long as the same
without that there in that Studios part, there would be nothing. I mean, they're building Arendelle, so that's going to be spectacular.
Matt's just made a point in the chat. That's what I was getting at. It's too real world.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's not remotely magic.
If they'd gone and done like a WandaVision ride themed to Westview, the actual town, and they put like Vekoma in there that does something crazy, that would have been so much better. Like I also the thing with Marvel though is there's so many things they could do with it. And I think it's just the right time, the right investment, the right park to pull the trigger on something massive for it. I know they've obviously.
Do you know what blows my mind though? It just well, I understand the need to do this because Disney, they need money, whatever. But I'm like, they're spending so much money on these Marvel things, installments. They've only just got like a Beauty and the Beast ride. How long's that film been out for? Do you know what I mean? Like, they're only just starting the Frozen stuff. Moana.
Yeah, it's not exactly new, is it?
Yeah, Moana was such a massive success.
Yeah,
and they've only the only
just
thing
they've that experience up. Yeah,
well, it's the same with Princess Tiana, Princess of the Frog. Frog.
Princess in the Fog.
Do you know what I mean? It's like I understand those but the thing with films like Beauty and the Beast, they are classic Disney to me, obviously because it's at a time when I grew up in, the early 90s with the original kind of Disney films like that. So I reckon you could have built that 20 years from now and it's still going to be massive and it's still going to be magical because it's a timeless. It's just when you think of Disney, you think of the things like Little Mermaid, Peter Pan, Aladdin, those kind of films.
Bambi,
that's Disney, isn't it?
Like, but even with Frozen was like one of the biggest film franchises
Don't I fucking know it? I've got a daughter. Jesus fuck. The amount of times I've seen that film.
But the best they could do in Disney World was like go in and retrospectively like theme a really old water ride to Frozen, and like I've done that ride, and the animatronics are impressive, but like it feels like old. The ride feels old. There's loads of blank walls and everything
because it is old.
Yeah, that whole building is old, and like that's all they could do. But then like they get the Marvel thing, so it just, to me, it always just feels like a massive cash cow, which is
Marvel is so new as well. When you compare it to other IPs that Disney own, it's a very new IP. You know, it's the last. I can't remember how many years off the top of my head. Someone will correct me, but it's like probably 8, 9, maybe less. I don't know, but it's not an old IP. Whereas something like you say, like Beauty and the Beast, imagine an Aladdin's Cave dark ride.
Oh.
Yeah,
trackless. Just imagine that. Yeah, that'd be so good, and they could put that in any park and it'd work.
But I just feel like
incredible that. Oh god, mate, that's
exactly amazing. It'd be so good. I
I
remember Jamie actually built an NL2 coaster themed to Aladdin, and it was fucking awesome. It was really good. Yeah, it was really good.
But I feel like if Universal can go and just build a brand new massive theme park, like why can't Disney just be like, okay, we have the Marvel IP, let's make a Marvel theme park. That's away from the. Do you know what I mean? Like that's not like encroaching on the fantasy style family stuff. Just away from it. Like they have full, you know, and that would make them so much money, and they could constantly update it. They could have all the characters there constantly.
I mean, fucking, they charge for pictures of Marvel characters in a hotel in Paris. Ridiculous money to stay there. Okay, it's slightly closer to everything else, but now they're gonna have like flipping Frozen next to Marvel. Like, how does, in terms of like world building, how does that flow? Like, I just don't get how that flows. No, like it doesn't make sense to me. It goes against everything like they built themselves up to be.
Mate, and like even like on with this Udi. Jesus Christ, I'm up now. I might have to de-Udi. Bear with
de-Udi.
But I feel like obviously I really, really, really like Cosmic Rewind.
Yeah,
I liked it more than you did, Luke. I really like that ride. But does it fit in Epcot? Like, what a random place to have it in. Is it in Epcot? Like,
when I was walking through World Showcase to get to my boarding group, I was like, well, how am I doing a Guardians ride here? Like...
Yeah, it's just so weird. Like, I keep forgetting that ride's like in Epcot. Even when I was at Epcot, I was like, oh, it's so weird how they're like that's over there. Like,
it's such a beautiful park, and I mean, the attraction they put in is spectacular when you look at it. And I'm excited to go back and ride it again. And we're closer to Disney next time we go, so I'm going to try and get a few more boarding groups on it instead of just one and try and rush there. That was that thing when you go to Disney, you've got to get everything once. Like, that was it. That was that thing. And it was absolutely rammed when I went. So I can't wait to go and experience it again with fresh opinion on it. And hopefully I'll enjoy it a bit more as the coaster itself.
I loved it. I just thought the whole thing was cool. But
I think the problem was, though, is that I'd done so many new experiences that just blew my mind. It was
it's hard to take things in at some time. Yeah, at some point. It is hard to take things in, isn't it? But yeah, I just think it's been said to death, but Disney they really need to like up their games in terms of like how long it takes them to do projects. Because I understand that they take a long time and they want to get things right, but also you look at the speed in which, like, you know, Universal are moving right now, and it's just like another level. And it's the fact that, like, you know, people have been talking about it in the chat, you know, Coco. The only thing in Disney World that even mentions Coco is like a small little shrine in Epcot in the Mexican Pavilion, and I'm like, that was a really big film as well. Like, how are you taking so long to move on it that you end up? They just built Tron, like, you know what I mean? Like, I know Tron is like a classic, but is there many kids that actually like know what Tron is? Like,
you're right.
Is there actually anyone in, like, any kids you know what Tron is? Like, I don't know if there's been like a new animation out, but
no, it's quite a while ago. I think the last movie was when we were growing up.
Like, we were growing up, and they just built it. I went where it happened at the time between the last Tron ride being built in, is it in Shanghai? The original one? Yeah. Shanghai Disney, like the Tron like ride there. Years. It's like an old ride. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just it's mind-boggling that
mate.
They're really
the light is bouncing off my forehead. Bear with me. Jesus fucking.
But you can see
Turn that down.
You know, like Tiana's Bayou and whole retheme there of Splash Mountain. That, like you say, Epic Universe, they've put up coaster after coaster, attraction after attraction, building after building, and they've still only just stripped out a bit of the flume that's in there.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you're right. They do need to move on things. But the thing with Disney is they open something and people just flock.
Yeah,
they always
don't matter what they do.
No matter what it is,
no one's gonna go. Yeah,
but it could be a new cake, and
people,
you get 9 million people selling it out.
Yeah, the thing is, people like Disney, for example, is this has gone into a Disney rant now, isn't it? But the thing is,
really, I love Disney.
Yeah, Disney have like built the Disney parks have built their reputation on nostalgia. Now, do I think that like kids now who are growing up with Marvel are still going to be nostalgic about an old IP, like an older film when they're like at our age, when there's like how many Marvel films coming out on a constant basis?
There's like an Iron Man 1 film ride,
but there's not
10 years time.
I don't think there's like correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's like 4 to 6 year olds who are like well into like they might like the idea of Spider-Man, but do they get the intricate stories, or are they gonna like watch like Encanto and that's gonna be in their heads for when they grow up, and they're gonna want to go visit and take the kids there because that these like kind of fantasy style stories are what's gonna make it
leads back to what I was saying before though, like say for us and our kind of age group thinking about classic Disney, your Aladdins and your Little Mermaids and stuff. It's like you've got to think about now what is about now that is going to have that effect on, say, my kids, for example, who are 9 and 14. Finley is a Marvel stan. Do you know what I mean? Like, and Star Wars and everything. He has watched every single tell you the fucking ins and outs of the cat's arse when it comes to Marvel, right? Is he gonna sit there as an adult in 30 years' time and be like, oh, to his kids potentially, put this film on from when I was younger because it was incredible and I love it and it just reminds me of being a kid. I don't see superhero films having that same effect as a Aladdin has on us. I might be completely wrong.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just key films as a child that we would go, that is my childhood right there.
Yeah.
It's kind of the reason why I really like Star Tours, because you don't know what you're going to get when you get on it. And it's a motion simulator ride if you don't know it, and it's got like different, every time you go on it, it's different. And there's so many combinations with different movies, different time periods of the Star Wars universe. And every time you go on it, you can have something completely different. You never had it before. And it'll just bring back little triggers, from nostalgia. Like they'll put Luke Skywalker in, or they'll put R2-D2 in, or they'll throw like new things like Kylo Ren or Rey, and you're like, oh right, yeah, it's the new stuff. And then it goes back to the old stuff next time you go on it. And I really like that about it. So I think if you're a fan of something at the moment, you're obviously a fan of it when it was prior, like Star Wars, I like the new stuff, I like the old stuff, I like the animated, I like, I'm a Star Wars universe fan, I'm a Marvel universe fan. So when it comes together in an attraction and you get to see certain things, like the Iron Man animatronic at Disneyland Paris is really good. It's great to see. But the ride itself is just
I just think though,
rip it out and put something new in if you're going to do
it.
I
can't personally see in 20 years' time Marvel Campus still being there as Marvel Campus, whereas rides like Peter Pan's Flight, will be there forever.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And have 120-minute queue from the off every day.
And there's always going to be the flying Dumbos, and there's always the Little Mermaid ride, which looks sick. I'm not lying.
Jungle Cruise,
it's always,
everything. Yeah,
it's always going to be there. It will be there in 100 years' time.
Yeah.
Is Marvel Campus going to be there in 20 years? I fucking doubt it. Might be completely wrong. But it's irreplaceable to me that a new film that's going to come out in 20 years' time and a new kind of thing is going to completely overtake. It doesn't give timeless.
It seems like it's a very Bob Chapek type of investment. I think that was. How can we get money in quickly?
I mean, the amount of shit that's happening since Bob Iger came back is ridiculous. To be fair,
I mean, the argument could be made for like Princess and the Frog. You know, that film come out in. I just looked at it, 2009. Like,
I have never seen it.
I've seen it. I thought it was pretty good, but I was like, I was 19. I'm 33 now. Like, like that's an old film. Like that's such a weird IP.
Well, to me, are you under the same thinking as me that you say, "Oh, that came out all that time ago"? But to me, I would say, well, that's a new Disney film. Still, that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Modern Disney film.
It as a modern Disney film.
Yeah. Not really, a Walt Disney film.
I mean, that just shows our age. Let's be honest.
To be fair,
and all as fuck.
Pixar's where it's at now, isn't it? Really, if you think about it.
You don't get like a cartoon animation, really. You don't. You know, it's all.
I don't know, because like Encanto was a bit. I mean, we don't talk about Bruno. That was one of the most streamed songs ever. Still,
that song.
But like that was a massive success for them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like recent Disney films that have done very well. Again, just going back to like even though think about it now, like Frozen is still like it's an older one now, but it's, you know, our nieces who are now like teenage. Well, you know, one of them's like turning 18 soon. She grew up with Frozen. That will always be in her head. Like she'll get to a stage where she'll want to go and like relive that again, and like maybe. If any of them have kids, they might introduce their kids to what they grew up with, because they're going to have like these associations with it. Yep. So
things like Frozen, like I say, it was like a phenomenon, so to speak. When you think about films, you know, like I say, my Lola's 10 this year. She was obsessed, to a dangerous point. It was so annoying. So you say like things like that, and go back to what you said before, and you're like, they're taking ages to bring out themed areas or rides to do with films that have come out ages ago. I think Frozen falls into that category, like the other ones, that it's going to be timeless.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's like if Universal opened a Back to the Future dark ride, trackless dark ride, or something. That'd be fucking bonkers. Yeah.
It just comes down to like essentially like cult status. With
films,
it
is it's the pop culture status of the IP is a major consideration, I would say, for, you know, the parks to think, well, okay, this works really well, let's bring it back, let's get some more money out of the IP, we can go back to it whenever we want. You know, Mickey Mouse has been in that many films and stuff like that. They could just pull out a new rendition of him.
Well, you think that like Mickey Mouse only got like his own ride like a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
how mad is that?
Really?
Yeah. Well, he's had his own show for like since.
He's the OG. You know what I mean? He's like the original.
Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railroad was such a good
ride.
That's the first ever ride that's been based on them. Yeah.
Oh my god! If I was Mickey Mouse, I'd be absolutely livid.
But like Luke says,
he's nearly quit 3 times over the years. He's nearly quit 3 times.
Oh god, I'd be fuming.
Anyway, I think that's about it. That covers it. Obviously, if anyone has any ideas they want us to like talk about topics and things like that, because obviously as it's close season now, there won't be that much news going around, so we're going to do shows kind of based on like topics, debates, ranting. Let's have some arguments. Come on, let's go. I'm ready for it. But yeah, if you have anything, just put them in the comments section, not in the chat because I'll probably miss it, but in the comment section of this YouTube video. Or email us at thechaindogs@gmail.com. Do it.
Yeah.
Old school.
There it is. I was going to do it, but you can beat me to it.
Or tweet us or message us. Just let us know. See what you want us to talk about. We'll probably be having some guests on soon as well in the talks for that. So yeah, thank you so much. Anyone got anything they want to get out there?
No. All good. Oh yes, building a new website.
Just a little detail.
Yeah, just a little detail. Go to coastgen.com, you'll see the landing page and it will tell you everything that's happening. So check it out.
Nice one.
Bastards. Who do you think they are?
Lick of paint.
All right. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. We will be back next week. as usual. We'll see you next week, everyone. Bye-bye.
See you there.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.